Big Three NBA podcast is powered by PrizePicks and the Game Time app.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Big Three NBA podcast. Kwani Lunis, Sherrod Blakely, Gary Washburn. Hi friends, welcome. It's April 1st. We're recording right now. Happy April Fool's Day.
Gary, what is this? Hi friends. What is that?
I
What was that, Gary? What was that, Gary?
Like, I have no idea what that is. Gary, that's crazy.
This is the first time we met, and we got to be cordial, polite, because we're trying to get a job or something. Hi, friends.
It's April 1st. I want to start, a fresh new spring. Spring is almost here. Well, spring is technically here, but I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. Y'all want me to be mean?
No, friend. Just be friends, please. Yeah, it's playoff time. We ain't got to be friends. Ain't no friends come playoff time. What you doing?
Fine. With no friends here.
Especially for Sherrod's Pistons against the Timberwolves. That wasn't friendly at all.
Why'd you even bring that up?
Hey, Gary, to the point where the coaches, you got coaches getting it.
That's how you know it's Gary. When the coaches
I tell you what, though. You know who wasn't involved in it, though? My main man, Corliss.
Oh, he wasn't involved.
He's a peacekeeper.
Oh, he's a peacekeeper now?
Because Big Nasty could have ended all that drama and knocked all them fools out.
You're right.
He played it cool.
You're right.
I got much respect and much fear for my man Corliss.
You're right.
He could knock all the fools out and call it a day. So, thank you, Corliss. Do the right thing.
Keep it cordialist.
Exactly. Oh, Lord.
All right.
See you started, Gary.
I had to. Okay, let's talk about the Celtics. 6-0 on their West Coast trip. First time in franchise history for them to go 6-0 on a road trip. What does that say to you? Especially we know they've been better on the road all season, but now kind of a little milestone marker.
Well, the thing about what they've done is that, when you start getting closer and closer to the playoffs, you want to start building towards whatever your identity is supposed to be. And the Celtics, they've shown all season long that they've been a pretty good road team, actually the best damn road team in NBA, and they are pretty solid at home as well. So what we saw in this road trip was them take whatever their strengths are on the road and actually amplify that to the point where they weren't just playing well, they were playing well enough to win in a lot of different arenas, a lot of different buildings, and they did it many nights without one of their starters around. And so that it says a lot about their ability to find ways to win even when they don't have a full hand to play with. And that's a big, big deal when you start getting closer and closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about their ability just to play away from home, to play in opponents' arenas, the how comfortable they are. They're not daunted by road venues. They've won. They've lost one road game since January 23rd when they lost to the Lakers, and that was the game against Sherrod's Detroit Pistons. They have just been remarkable this year on the road. 32-7, a chance to tie the NBA record of 34-7, set by the 2015-16, those 73-win Warriors. So for me, it's been a remarkable road run. And, at home, they've been, for a team of their caliber, probably below average, 24-12. Nice, but nothing spectacular. They've got obviously 5 home games left, so they can make that mark even better. But it's just for them to go 6-0 on this trip and win the games by an average of 17.3 points, so they pretty much blew everybody out, or at least won by double digits in each time. It just shows their steadiness, and they're coming together at the right time, playing their best basketball of the season, and that they just take their assignments seriously on the road. Because if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're probably not going to have, if they face the Cavaliers, they're not going to have home court advantage. They're going to have to win a game in Cleveland, at least one game in Cleveland to advance. And they're probably going to have to win one game in New York or 2 games in New York if they face the Knicks. Teams don't seem daunted by playing at TD Garden, so the Celtics got to come back and beat them on their floor because they don't have that decided home court advantage. At least it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case this year. But they've always been a very good team on the road in the playoffs. They've always played better away from home for whatever reason. It's hard to figure that out. But to me, it just says this is a team that's locked in and focused, especially over the last couple of months.
That being said, you have the added fact of at least one starter wasn't in those games. But then, in addition, you're on the West Coast. What do you think this says about the not only resilience but also just like the stamina to be able to go to the West Coast and still succeed?
You got it, Gary.
Uh, I mean, obviously they're a deep team, and I think this has allowed Joe Mazzulla to try some different rotations, some different
Mhm.
guys. A guy like Baylor Shireman is getting minutes. Luke Kornet's playing remarkably well. They're mixing in Al Horford. And what they're also doing is getting a lot of Kristaps Porzingis because he's missed so much time, a couple of weeks with that flu illness he had. And now he's getting in there almost every game. He's not going to play any back-to-backs, but they only have one back-to-back left this season and one back-to-back left at all, right? Because there's going to be none in the playoffs. So he'll miss probably just the remaining game. Maybe he'll sit out one of those last two games against Charlotte. But you get a lot of recipe of how good they can be with Kristaps Porzingis, but also guys like Shireman, also guys like Luke, Sam Hauser. They're all playing well. And they're compensating for the lack of a Jaylen Brown here or the game that they won at Phoenix without Jayson Tatum when he had the sprained ankle. So they're just showing their depth. And I just think their depth was questioned because guys weren't having maybe tip-top great seasons. But all those guys are bouncing back. Al's bounced back. We've got a brand new Drew Holiday in the mix. Derrick White's always been, has bounced back greatly from his little slump in January. So they're just showing who they are. They're showing that they're the deepest team besides maybe the Thunder in the NBA.
Yeah, and their ability to do that and do it over and over and over again, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the venue, it puts when you're preparing to play the Celtics, they've already were going to be a difficult team to prepare for, but now even more so because you have even more players to worry about. I mean, like for example, Shireman, Baylor is not someone that's going to be at the top of your scouting report. But would any of us be surprised if you throw him out there and he gets you maybe 8, 9, 10 points in a short 5, 6 minute burst? He's got that kind of potential. Sam Hauser, another guy that's been kind of, from a health standpoint, been kind of in and out of the mix for them. He's another guy that you got to worry about. And obviously, there's the usual suspect with Brown, Tatum, and guys who've been in the mix, but they seem to be elevating their play as we get closer to the playoffs. And I'm thinking about guys like Luke Cornet, who has been he was if you had to put together like the all West Coast team for the Celtics, Luke he's a starter.
Yeah.
He was really really good in terms of being active offensively. His rebounding was really good. Uh, Defensively, I thought he was solid more times than not, and just really gave them a presence that they absolutely desperately needed. And you start going down the line and you start realizing that the Celtics, to a man, are getting better as they get closer to the playoffs. And usually teams are trying to figure out how to just kind of tone it back a little bit and then rev it back up for the playoffs. The Celtics aren't doing that at all. In fact, they're getting stronger and stronger as they inch closer towards the playoffs and position themselves to where anything short of banner 19 would be a disappointment. I think the way they're playing, that has to be the only thing that makes sense for them as far as what a good season looks like. Because they're playing incredible basketball, getting lots of contributions, looking like a team that can go 10 deep and get 10 different levels of contributions to winning games.
Let's talk about Luke Cornet a little bit more. Luke Cornet 2.0 at this point. He's having a career defining season, but also it seems as though maybe he's playing his way out of Boston. What do you two think?
You know what? One of our colleagues, Bobby Manning, here at CLNS Media, has been on the Luke Cornet bandwagon forever and a day.
Get him.
He's
Yeah.
captain of the Luke Cornet fan club. That is Bobby Manning.
Yep.
And he said something during one of our broadcasts together on the Garden Report that it just kind of it got us all up in arms. He said Luke Cornet at one point was a $20 million player, which we were just like hell to the no, hell to the no. I still feel that way, but I think he's a lot closer to that than he is not being that player. Like Luke is an 8-figure NBA player. I think. I mean, when you look at Peyton Pritchard gets 8 million. Luke, I don't think anyone should be shocked if he gets a $10 million deal. When you start looking at the way that his game is getting better, the way that he's impacting winning, and he's doing it in lots of different ways. And there's a part of his game that the more you watch him play, you feel as though there's some untapped potential there that in the right situation, he could be an even more impactful player than what we've seen. And that for the Celtics is a great thing because you're talking about their third center, not the backup, not the starter. You're talking about the number 3 guy. And when you have that type of quality production from your third center, you are a problem because now all of a sudden, if teams want to go big, you can match up with that, and you got a guy that you can throw in that mix that can give them problems. Teams want to go small, you're playing into the Celtics' hands because their strength in many respects is at that perimeter/wing position. When you look at Brown, you look at Tatum, you look at Peyton Pritchard, you look at Sam Hauser, their strength is on the wing as well. So Luke Cornet completes this team in a way that makes them incredibly difficult, of already having been a difficult team, but even tougher to knock out in the playoffs. Because remember, the playoffs, it's not about whether you got a better team. It's can you beat this other team 4 times?
Yeah.
Can you beat them 4 times? And Luke makes it much harder to think about someone knocking the Celtics off 4 times in a best-of-7 series.
So I'll follow up with you then. What do you think his open market value is at this point?
10 to 15. I can't see him going any higher than that. One, because it's not a lot of teams with money. And two, I just don't think the value that you're going to get beyond that would make it worthwhile. Like right now, he's a steal at the money he's getting in Boston.
Right.
If you start going past 10, 11, 12 million a year, he ain't much more of a steal. All of a sudden, then you are the one that's being stolen upon.
Mm.
There you go. You got G.
You are the one that's being stolen upon.
Listen,
the writer, the other writer to.
I'm trying to educate you on different ways of using the English language, Mr. Cal Covey.
You have been stolen upon.
He'll know nothing about that,
Mr. Shakespeare.
I have so many jokes.
Anyway.
Gary not knowing what I'm talking about. I'll now count the ways that Gary does not know what I'm talking about. Let me count thy ways.
Oh, God. I have been stolen upon, Brute. Oh, my God. That's just...
Oh, my gosh. What do you think about Luke, Gary?
Get him back on the plane, Kwani.
I got you.
I just can't believe it. Have been stolen upon. Good job.
Get back on the plane, Gary. We're trying to take off.
Good job, Sherrod. Yeah. I think Luke has played himself into, obviously, he's only making $2.8 million this year. He's developed into a really quality backup center. I think he'll be a good backup center in this league. And if you see how much backup centers are making in this league, number 2 guy, because I think he'll be for his next team. Who knows what will happen if the Celtics will, reach out and do what they can to keep him. But he's definitely deserving of a raise. And he's going to make $10 million on the open market, because if you look at a guy like, let me see, Isaiah Hartenstein, who got $29 million this year after being kind of the backup to Mitchell Robinson in New York. Those guys are valuable. Now, not to say that Luke has the impact maybe that Hartenstein does, but he is becoming more physical, becoming more aggressive, becoming a rebounder. Career high 16 rebounds the other night against San Antonio. That says a lot. I think everybody is seeing the talent in Luke in terms of but he just needs to be more aggressive. He needs to be tougher, meaner out there, grabbing boards, not taking no mess, not patting the guy in the butt when he gets dunked on. No, just be mean out there. And I think he's turned into that player that a lot of people might have seen. And remember, when he first got to Boston, he saved them in a game against Oklahoma City by shooting a three-pointer. He was a three-point shooter during his days in Chicago and New York. Now, if you unlock that part of his game and have him maybe take a couple, not 10 or 11, but 2 or 3 per game, or have him as a threat, you even have a better player, more versatile player. So I do think that Luke is going to make a lucrative contract. Lucrative contract.
He talk about me. Let
Yeah,
me count the ways
he
that
will
guy
not
messed
have.
up.
No one will have stolen from Luke this offseason. Um, he
It's
will
always a
he will make, like Sherrod said. Unfortunately, I agree with him. He will make 10 figures with a team with salary cap space who's looking for a quality backup big. And obviously, when a guy wins a championship and maybe wins a second, or at least is on a championship caliber team, his market value is high to other teams because of that championship value and that championship pedigree. So, teams, it might not be a championship team that gets them, but it will be a team with space and teams looking for a quality backup center. Luke turns 30 this summer, so this is basically his prime.
We talk about the good. Let's talk about some of the bad. Jaylen Brown, his health. He missed 3 of those 6 games that we just talked about. What is your level of concern right now when it comes to Jaylen?
Talk about your boy from Cal, Gary.
Your
Well,
Cal.
he is not half stolen from anyone.
Oh
Um,
my!
just can't get. I can't get that out of my head. I'm sorry.
He's not lucrative Luke, but we're gonna work with that.
He's not been stolen from. I think that Jaylen is gonna. I don't know how close to 100% he is. I mean, he worked. I watched him in person in Memphis work out before the game. He looked fine, and then he came off the court and he kind of nodded his head no. And I don't know whether that meant no, I didn't feel any pain, or no, I ain't playing tonight. I feel pain. And then I saw him again in the weight room, so it wasn't like he was limping or anything. He was putting in the work. So yeah, yesterday might have been a Celtic thing. Like, you know what? Let's just give him another day or two. Um, and so now to reach that 65 game limit to where he's eligible for the All NBA team, he's got to play in 6 of the last 7 games. He can't miss many more games because he's at 59 games. He's got to play in 6 of the last 7. If not, he's going to be not going to be eligible. And if you look at the All NBA team and how it's all lining up, there's there's a few guys that might not make it that you would think would be eligible. Damian Lillard, Jalen Brunson has an ankle sprain. He needs to play 4 more games to get to that 65 game limit. There's other guys who just haven't got even like Kevin Durant, who you would think would be All NBA. He's got 62 games, and now he's got that sprained ankle. Does he play again this year for Phoenix? We don't know. No consideration. So it was the prevent load management, but it's turning to guys. If you have any type of kind of more than a minor injury and you miss more, you miss 18 or more games, you are not getting any NBA. You play 64 to 82, you're not getting eligible for any awards. So Jaylen's going to have to figure out is how important it is to him to make a run at All NBA. I think he's got an outside. He's got a chance to make the 3rd team. If you really look at it, and you also look at the guys who are not at the 65 game mark. So for me, I think that's the biggest level of concern right now. His condition going to the playoffs. Is he healthy? Is he will he be ready to go for a game 1 in the first round? Or will you need to bring him along slowly and maybe say, okay, we can get by against Atlanta or Orlando or even a Miami with you without you, Jaylen. Get ready for that Knicks series. Uh, the Celtics are not going to put him in any danger, but he's got to get out of this.
Yeah, and it's really important for Jaylen to just kind of figure out exactly what does he have to do to give himself and the Celtics the best chance at winning a championship, and that may very well be him having to sacrifice being All NBA if that's in the best interest of the team. So he's got some decisions to make. The Celtics have some decisions to make, but the thing about it is this: ultimately, it comes down to his health and whether he's going to be able to be as close to 100%, because I don't think he's going to be at 100% at any point in the playoffs. I think when you look at the kind of injuries that he's been kind of nursing and milking all season long, it's clear that this is something that's just not going to go away until he gets a chance to really shut it down and rest and rehab his body and just kind of really get away from the game. And that's not going to happen until after the playoffs. So with Jaylen, a lot of this comes down to just his ability to manage, the pain and the issues and the things that he's dealing with. And again, if missing out on being all NBA is the price you got to pay to potentially win a second championship, I think Jaylen is okay with that. It's not like Jaylen hasn't been all NBA before, and it's not like this is going to impact his bread. I mean, Jaylen is good money wise. I think it would have been a bigger deal and a much bigger issue if Jaylen needed to make all NBA in order to get that supermax or to get that big fat check. But that's just not an issue with him. So I think he's going to do the right thing. I do think he's going to miss a couple more games, and I do think he's going to not have enough games under his belt to be all NBA, and that's okay because again, the end of the day is about winning championships. That's the thing that's going to define you. In 5-10 years, which will people remember more? Jaylen Brown winning a second NBA title or Jaylen Brown being third team All NBA? It's not even close. And Jaylen, I think, understands that the value of winning a title should always supersede that of an individual accolade like All NBA. So I think he'll be fine. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all with our good friend Jaylen Brown. And before I forget, before we go too much further, I want to give a quick shout out to our good friends at Prize Picks. We are in the spring season, and you know what that means. We got baseball back in the mix, and it is officially on the way. Don't miss out on your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your lineup, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash today. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. It's the best place to win cash while watching your favorite players. They lots of different promotions, such as Taco Tuesday, which allows you to discount select player projections up to 25%, and that provides even more value for your lineups. They've also invented the Flex Play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So how do you do it? It's real simple. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
I think it's amazing how far he's come, and he even acknowledged it. He said, "Did you see me my first year here?" Basically.
Yeah, you were trash. Let me stop.
He he talked about a conversation he had this summer when Draymond Green was in Paris attending the Olympics, and he said he had conversations with Draymond about how they played him in the 22 finals and how they basically left him alone and to shoot from the three. And he had that big game one against the finals, and he kind of disappeared after that. It was not a good series for a lot of the Celtics, but especially Derrick White. And he said he had to learn from that, so he lived in the gym and got his shot down. And he said he credits that with making him better. And so I think it's pretty neat that he's now the single season 3-point leader. It's hard for I think me and maybe Sherrod that the man he passed, the great Isaiah Thomas, loses his record. I want Isaiah to have all the records that he can. He lost his. Okay, he did. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right, Kwani. You should feel bad too because he had the season scoring record. He lost that out to Jayson a couple years ago, and then now he's lost his 3-point record. So I feel bad. I mean, I wanted Isaiah to go down in the records, but the Celtics take 50-something 3 pointers a game, so it was not that record wasn't going to last long. And I think we're all kind of surprised. It was like maybe Ray Allen should have had the record or whatever, but it's awesome for Derrick to have that record. And if you look at the numbers, Jayson can catch him this year, and so could Peyton Pritchard. So it might be a 3-point shootout over the last 7 games to see who gets the most, because both of them, I think, Derrick has 247. I want to say Jayson has 240, and I think Peyton has 238. So it could be a real interesting kind of side plot to the season of who plays and who gets the most 3-pointers up and who's going to get that record.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Derek is, there's a level of humility that he brings to the game. Whenever he talks about himself, whenever anyone brings up something that he's done that's really amazing, and you kind of understand really quick why he's probably the most likable Celtic playing right now. I don't think that's really even a question. Tatum may be the headliner, Jaylen Brown, all star, but in terms of the guy that people both inside that organization and outside genuinely like, how they carry themselves and all that kind of stuff, there's no one better than Derrick White. And the fact that his game has grown the way it has in terms of shot making, but to me, the true growth in his game is confidence. I think Derrick White has always had the ability to contribute to a winning situation, but I don't think he always felt confident enough to do that. I don't think he always felt that he belonged in those moments. When you look back at some of the recent games, like the Memphis game, for example, Gary, I mean, you could see that Jayson Tatum was getting very frustrated with the officiating. It was so obvious. And one of the most important moments in that game was when the lead was down to single digits and Derrick White hit a three ball to put it back up 10. And it was almost as if in that moment the pressure that was starting to build up, the frustration that Tatum was experiencing, the frustration that some of the other Celtics were feeling, Derek just dialed it all back with one shot. And it was just another cool, calm, collected moment for him to do what he's been doing all season long. And that's giving them exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. And that is a gift that he presents game in and game out. And in the post game presser, he did talk about how Draymond, in effect, the Warriors helped basically get him on this path to where he is one of the most reliable clutch shooters on the Celtics roster. So it's a record that's probably going to be broken this year, whether it's by himself or one of his teammates. But it does speak to the fact that this is a guy who has made tremendous strides in his own game individually, and in that vacuum has allowed this team to grow in ways that I don't think they anticipated they would, with Derek White as one of the guys leading that charge. I expect them to win most, if not all, of those games. I expect them to position themselves to where they're going to the playoffs as healthy as possible, playing good basketball, doing the kind of things that we saw on that road trip, and just really be ready to win another title. I think that they're at that point now where you look at what they've been able to do the last couple of weeks, and it's clear that they are ratcheting up to being a team that is going to be a formidable foe for anyone and everyone. They've had a chance to give some of their core guys some rest. Some of the core guys that we had questions mark about what they could do come playoff time. We've seen a resurgent Al Horford. We've seen Drew Holiday look like, instead of looking like old Drew Holiday, he looks like the old Drew Holiday that was balling out night in, night out. You start going down the line of the guys that you know are going to play big minutes. Damn near every one of them, I think, is playing some of their best, if not their best basketball right now, with the exception of Jaylen Brown. And that has more to do with him just not physically being available as much as we're accustomed to. But when you look at what he's done when he has been available, for the most part, Jaylen Brown has done what Jaylen Brown do. And so if you're the Celtics, you're hitting this home stretch feeling really good about where you are, but more importantly, where you have the potential and the purpose and just the focus to go. Guys are ready to get this thing going.
Yeah, I agree. Once again, unfortunately, with Sherrod.
You make it sound like a bad thing, brother. That's showing you got some education behind you, boy. That's
that's it.
We call that the smart play, Gary.
Yeah, that's it. The smart play.
Like Luke. That's a smart play.
Yeah, that's a smart play. The thing is, they got some goals. I mean, if you want to, quite honestly, get the 60 win mark, they need to win four out of the last 7 games. I think that's obviously very attainable to get the 60 win mark. They have a very, very outside shot of catching the Cavs. The Cavs magic number, I want to say, is 3 at this point, because I think they own the tiebreaker because they have the better conference record because they broke even 2-2 in the matchup. So Cleveland would have to completely collapse. So the Celtics are very comfortable and nestled at the number 2 seed. But, I mean, Joe's a competitive guy. And if you look at the remaining schedule, Miami comes in Wednesday. They're playing for something they're trying to avoid. They're trying to get up to that 8 seed maybe and have 2 chances to make the first round instead of just 1. Because when you get the 9 or 10 seed, it's win, and then you got to win again. Where you're 7 and 8, you get 2 chances, obviously, but you can lose and still then win and get in. So Miami's got something to play for. Phoenix comes in. We don't know where Phoenix's head's at. There's going to be no Kevin Durant. They come in on Friday. Have they given up and thrown in a towel, or are they going to still try to make a last push for that play-in spot? They're a game behind Sacramento now, and I think they play Sacramento in the final game of the season. I could be wrong, but I think they do. And Sacramento's going through a free fall themselves. They've lost 2 in a row, 7 out of the last 10. So Phoenix, in as much as they could probably say, hey, we don't want to win this, they could not. It might not even be on their own because Sacramento's been so bad that Sacramento's keeping them in it. Mm-hmm. So Phoenix has something to play for, although it's going to be Kevin Durant. Phoenix has got a very difficult schedule. Yes, they do play the Kings on the final game of the season. That's going to be an interesting game. The only meaningless games will be Washington and the 2 games against Charlotte. And it's funny, in the 2 games against Charlotte and in the games against Washington, they're both tanking. So they're going to try to lose them games. Like, they're going to throw out some embarrassing line. Even though the Wizards are playing a little bit better of late, both of them trying to get that. They're trying to get Cooper Flag. They didn't watch the tournament. They didn't see Cooper Flag. So they're gonna hand the Celtics East games, especially that last weekend with those 2 games against Charlotte. So the meaningful, and then they got the road trip New York Orlando. Those are meaningful games. They want to set that road wins record. The Knicks want to send a message, and I'm sure the Knicks want to beat them. Although the Knicks could easily say, "Hey, we're not showing you nothing because we're preparing. We're going to get prepared for that potential second round series. We're not showing you nothing." But the Knicks, I don't think, want to get swept. And then Orlando, like Miami, is playing for the best play-in seed. So there's some interesting games. It's some intrigue left in the final 7 games. Obviously, the Washington and Charlotte games might not be the best, most highest quality games because neither of those teams are going to field great quality teams. But the Celtics have something to play for. 60 wins, the road record. And then they want to play spoiler. They want to beat the Knicks for the 4th time. Joe's competitive. Joe wants to win. Joe ain't trying to lose none of these games. And so I think it'll be a fun ending. And the whole thing is you guys know, is just stay the hell healthy. Just do not, stay away from injury. Don't play guys too many minutes. If you're going to give Jayson a game off, give Jaylen a couple of games off, Al, give Kristaps a break, all those guys. And so you're ready to go for the playoffs.
I was just going to say, really just finding that balance between rest and recovery and just revving it up for the playoffs is essential. And I think the Celtics up to this point have done a really good job of positioning themselves to where once the playoffs start, they're going to be in a space and place in terms of health, in terms of rhythm, all those things, exactly where they want to be at that point in the season, which is rare, that you can feel really good about where you are and actually have the receipts to back it up.